And we're back again for the third time now, Internet. Welcome to part 3 in my video series where I'm going to be ranking every Big Brother winner's winning game from season 2 all the way up to season 26. If you haven't seen part 1 or 2, check them out. They kind of complete where we're up to with part 3. They cover the bottom 10 winners in my ranking, as we're now diving into the middle of the pack from 15 to 11, where we'll also find who I think played the best average winning game thus far. There's a top 12, a bottom 12, and then there's lucky number 13. Who's it gonna be? But first, let's keep on keeping on with the next winner. Number 15, a player I know many will say should be lower despite their lovable nature and fan favorite status. I realize they have also been rightly criticized over the years for their game. From Big Brother 14, I am talking about Ian Terry, the lovable underdog who managed to beat a strong cast of returning players and a few decent newbies too. The man was a veto ball away from being blindsided and evicted with Dan's funeral. He was on the outs as early as week 1. He had Dan gunning after him for weeks post-jury and nearly landing the shot again and again, but always coming up short. Ian won clutch comps and was so ridiculously likable that he took down Dan Giesling in the final 2, after taking Dan with him. Ian beats Danielle as well, but no, let's duke it out with one of the greats. I have talked about underrated winners in the past, and I didn't include Ian on that list, and I guess that's because he is slightly below the average for me, but I still think he is also higher for me here than a lot of other critics would place him. Ian's outright likability and social game are a certain factor of the game that I think are greatly underestimated about him. Social winners, players that are jury vote magnets, are not as common as you might think, and it's tough to pin down exactly how they got to this point. I can pinpoint where Ian messed up and was out of the loop, but I still think his small threat level, his comp prowess, his natural ability to be underestimated, and his strong desire to embrace the show put him in a unique place when I look at everything he brings to the table. He sacrificed himself to take punishments for this cast because he was a super fan and wanted to live the dream. He was always kind to others. He was never mean or toxic, a trait shared by another great player in his season. He went into the game with an alliance makeup and was able to help create the Quack Pack despite not entirely putting it together. He was able to take advantage of the position he found himself in to great success. His ability to serve as the mole and work over both Boogie and Frank, all while strengthening his position in that dominant alliance, was impressive. He took down the winner of All-Stars as a rookie, and I think most of Ian's mistakes aren't self-inflicted. He just found himself being outplayed by stronger players who we will see higher on this list in future videos. The winners below him in my ranking either aren't proactive enough, aren't clutch enough, or made more egregious mistakes more often that left me unimpressed. He is still in my lower half, but I have thought higher of his game as the years go by, albeit it does sometimes feel like a yo-yo.
You might see things you don't like, but remember I respect you. And ever since the word, take these. That ain't cool, doggy. Ian is not to be trusted.
I know that already now.
Just put that in the storage room. Ian, what happened, dog?
Please.
Not cool,
Get to
buddy.
something, buddy.
Not cool.
Ring, ring. What is this telephone doing in the DR? Hello? Oh, hey, Janelle. No, my boogie's actually not here, but I was just leaving a message for him. Is there anything you'd like to say?
I masterminded your demise. I learned from one of the best, and that is why you're sitting with Julie right now. I'm really sorry.
I'm not mad at him. I still love him. I'm proud of him.
I would like to say that Dan started this game with 3 lives and expended 2 of them within the first few weeks. I've had 1 life the whole time, and I've made it here to the end without losing any. I've played this game with 3 things: probability, statistics, and a little bit of heart. I covered my bases when I needed to, I made smart decisions for myself, and I controlled my own destiny in this game.
Frank's vote goes to... Congratulations, Ian. You are the winner of Big Brother.
With number 14, we have a winner that falls into a similar boat as Ian, actually. Their game tends to be appreciated more for who they are, what they stand for, more than what they actually did. From Big Brother 24, it's Taylor Hale. I think 14th is very appropriate for a game, but I do think there are some fans who would say she's being overrated, similar to Ian. What holds Taylor back is, sure, she gets bailed out of a disastrous week 1, but then she herself didn't do much of anything to be in that hole. I mean, Ian was being a weirdo, whereas we had the night 1 live feeds for BB24 and we saw how it all went down. I can't, in good faith, hold that against Taylor, even though it was not a good start. We also saw her win that HOH halfway into the game and flub a lot of it. She tried to be too protective and didn't have a clear plan. She fumbled the power a bit and inadvertently caused tension in her alliance. Albeit this was more from Joseph, Monty, and Kyle slowly falling out, but still. You're the HOH, like, come on, rein your boys in a little. Beyond that though, what Taylor is able to accomplish after her week 1 hole is pretty impressive. She bonds with enough of the women to escape their wrath in week 2, then gets saved when the leftovers form, partially thanks to how Nicole and Daniel treat her. If Taylor wasn't as empathetic as she was, as sympathetic towards Nicole as she was, I don't know exactly what's happening next. And yes, of course, also Kyle realizing the guys were potentially in trouble. The guys knew Taylor was a shoo-in for the alliance, like Ian with the Quack Pack, and here we go. A power position. Taylor also always had Michael and Britt, and she had decent relations with almost everyone else after Indy was evicted. She wins over Jasmine during that split house twist and shows a lot of grace towards Kyle when the Michael of it all comes to a head. Taylor also pulls off a great move by convincing Monty and Turner to finally flip on Michael, go against that stupid random guys alliance right before the double eviction, prodding them to get on the same page because Michael is not good for any of them. Mind you, Taylor also had Michael in her pocket if she needed him, but she didn't, and she knew it. Her ability to bond with others was impeccable. It's why she gets Monty to stump for her at the final 5 and have Turner make a terrible move by evicting Alyssa over her. She also convinces Monty that Turner is a way bigger threat to his win, which was not the case. Monty was repeatedly convinced by Taylor to make questionable moves in her favor. That said, Taylor's first half of the game is decent but not amazing, and her second half doesn't have her in much control, similar to Ian. She didn't need to win many comps. She wasn't really a huge comp beast like a lot of this cast. She wasn't really out of the loop that much, but she was a massive jury threat that went unnoticed by many. Heck, comparing her to Ian still, even Dan was planning to take Ian to the final 2 over Danielle. Monty does the same thing, but he had even more win equity than Dan, and it's all thanks to Taylor. There's some good, there's some bad, but overall, I think she is worthy of being close to the middle, and I don't think that should be that much of a hot take.
Hey, chips before
Taylor,
a workout?
Just stop. From this point on, just stop.
With the Lays?
Monty may have more blood on his hands than me, but as someone who has sat on this eviction block 6 times on an eviction night, I have bled out the most in this game, but I have bandaged myself together every single time and gotten up and continued to fight. I have overcome so much in this game, and I've come to understand that I am not a shield, I am a sword. I am not a victim, I am a victor. And if there is one word that is going to describe the entire season, it is resiliency. And if you are to ask yourself who the most resilient person of this season has been, it is me. I have never given up on myself, and I refuse to do it tonight when I'm sitting next to such a strong competitor. I can be the winner of this season, and I promise you will not do it in vain if you choose me tonight.
Congratulations, Taylor! You are the winner of Big Brother.
And now, we get to that mighty middle. Lucky number 13. A player I have said is underrated repeatedly, and Here they are in the thick of it. From Big Brother 17, it's Steve Moses. As far as I can tell, if you're playing better than Steve and you win, you're top half and vice versa. Like the parting of the seas, it's the Moses line. And when I step back and look at my list from a top-down view, I gotta say that each grouping of winners in this series seems to have a trend. And with Steve, he is like the king of the little things. How he controls his emotions to reduce his threat level. He gets others to underestimate him. He starts the season on the outs, not an uncommon position for these winners, but rebounds after week 1 when the house implodes. Steve is a clutch comp player when he needs to be. And he did need to be a few times, particularly in week 1 and especially in that final 3. And the fact that he had Vanessa believing he would take her, that he was her blind spot and she kinda had to work with him going into the end game. It's good stuff. It's the stuff of the 13th place best winning game to date. Steve is able to work both sides of the house to be good with everyone, and it's actually when he unintentionally wins at the top of the jury that throws him into a bind. When you don't want to win HOH, that kind of says something about where your game is currently at, and it's not a bad thing. But he does get out of it all the same because that's just what he does. He is underestimated. Amusingly, it's Vanessa who clocks him hardest when Austin tries to take her out. Steve is a part of it, and she absolutely loses it on him, just reads him for filth. Steve acquiesces, and they do find peace, but it's not the best look for the guy. He doesn't ever really have much control of anyone other than himself. He's never really the shot caller, mostly hanging out in the back, ready to strike. He is a player who is all about his own positioning, which is usually just sort of middle of the road. Par for the course, he is right in the middle here too, or right in the middle of my rankings, playing both sides all over again.
Steve has said that taking Vanessa to the final 2 would be a mistake. But will he actually evict her?
Across 17 seasons of this game, I am thoroughly convinced that you are the strongest female player this game has ever seen. You always told me that I had to make the move I could justify to the superfans and to my family, and I can't justify taking the stronger player with me, which means I'm so sorry, Vanessa. I have to vote to evict you.
Had you won, would you have taken him to the final 2?
No, I wasn't going to. No.
That's
so I
honest.
can't blame him. Yeah, I wasn't going to.
Jackie's vote goes to... Congratulations, Steve! You are the winner of Big Brother!
And I think from these past few winners going forward for the rest of my ranking, all of these winners put up mostly good to great performances all around in their own way. So a lot of it now comes down to aspects like dominance, control, agency, positioning, and, all of that other fun stuff to help me discern who is ahead of who and why. So, okay, number 12, first player in the top half from Big Brother 7 All-Stars, I have Mike Boogie Malin. And yeah, he beats a cast of returning players, the first All-Stars, and he does a pretty good job all around. I don't think it's going to be a hot take to see him around this placement, and really, I think the trickiest part of Boogie's win is figuring out where his game starts and Will's ends. And that's not just talking about the Final 4. Which, by the way, not sure Boogie needed to throw part 1 of the Final 3 HOH in an attempt to act like Richard Hatch from Survivor. What do you know, Will gets voted out, and here's Boogie making questionable flashy moves right away. But yeah, this is the season of Chilltown. Without Boogie, Will's game doesn't have nearly the same effect on BB7. Low-key, best move Will made was getting Boogie on this cast. And Boogie does a lot. He is a swindler and a dealer with a silver tongue and a knife just as sharp as the evil doctors himself. Boogie heavily manipulates Erica to do his bidding for much of the season. Operation Double Date is a smashing success, up until the wheels fall off. Boogie gets Chicken George to cave on evicting Howie during the double, a major move that propelled Chilltown into a super strong position in the endgame. Boogie is also a huge part of working with Danielle and James to create the Legion of Doom side alliance. He is also a major part of the anti-floaters rhetoric that sees a lot of Big Brother 4 and 5 taken out before Chilltown is targeted. Boogie had good relations with more of this cast than meets the eye. It wasn't just Will who did all the dirty work. But at the same time, yeah, the big question of where does Boogie start and Will end is difficult to tackle, and truthfully, I don't know if it really matters. Where does any player land without their number one ally? Boogie played with one of the greatest players ever, a player who was willing to take a bullet for the guy, to throw away his game for Boogie's success. And that's commendable in a season of returning players with relationships built before the game began, with pre-gaming rife and Boogie absolutely in the thick of it. I think Boogie does a good job playing this game with the pieces in front of him. He has a lot going for him, and yeah, I think he's propped up by Will at the end of the day, but that's still good enough for 12th place.
Chilltown is on a little mission right now called Operation Double Date. And the way it works is I get very close to Erica, Will gets very close to Janelle using our charisma, good looks, and winsome personalities. And what these girls think is that they're winning our hearts and they're manipulating us, but what we're really doing is
ripping their hearts out of their chest and squeezing the blood in the pocket of their cheap blouses before they can blink twice.
Hey, Julie,
Yes, Mike?
you remember Richard Hatch?
Yes, I do.
They both have to take me to the finals.
What? Told you, Janelle.
Bring!
Hello?
Hey, Boogie, it's Will.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Dude, are you in the final too?
And this vote from Will goes to Mike. Congratulations with full votes. You are the winner of Big Brother All-Stars. Mike Allen, come on out here.
So, okay, who's the unlucky player that just misses out on my top 10? Well, there's a few names I floated around for this coveted spot, but ultimately, the shuffling of placements landed with the winner of Big Brother 5, Drew Daniel, at number 11. And really, I gotta say, I think these top 11 are the top 11. Like, there's a gap for me between Drew and Boogie that is large enough to mention. And to be honest, I think there's a case for Drew to be higher because I would say he is the most underrated winner. And 11th is nothing to sneeze at. After all, this is the guy who was picked to play in every veto competition of the summer. In a season where veto picks weren't random, Drew had the social game to get picked for each and every one of them. That does not happen by pure luck. He gets drafted to join the Four Horsemen Alliance off rip and basically coasts with their crappy reputation for a few weeks, until he himself blows it up. The power. Week 3, Drew pulls off a great move by intentionally hurting his own alliance in an effort to shift his position towards where the house momentum was headed. He got rid of Holly, an ally for his ally, but not his ally, and protected Diane in the process, a key piece in his game. Drew is so well positioned that he is even selected to take part in the six-finger plan against Jace, and they all throw the veto to him. Everyone in the house, even Jace, trusts this guy. He also joins in with the twins when Adria and Natalie split apart like a cell, then recruits Cowboy to his side alongside Diane, his showmance. He never faces eviction all season, and while he does nearly lose to Cowboy by a close vote of 4-3, I don't think his jury votes were too shaky. And after analyzing this jury a little more, I also think he beats Diane too. And they both wanted to take him to the end. I think mainly why I don't have Drew higher is because he does coast a bit and he doesn't call that many shots. He's one of those players who understands positioning well and is never in that much danger because of it. My top 10 winning games all feature players who get a little more done and manage to wow me in the end. Even though I do think Drew is quite worthy of a top 10 placement if you want to argue about it down in the comments.
I was so pumped when Drew stood up to Jace and, gave him a little piece of his mind.
You looked at me like I stuck a dagger in your heart, man.
Once Drew finds out that Adria and Natalie have been playing, the whole game together and switching, I think he's gonna understand it, and maybe even try to build a really good alliance with them.
Right now, I feel like I'm a spider in the middle of its web. My web is attached to each person in this house, and it's pulling me in all these different directions.
And the winner of Big Brother 5 is Drew. Congratulations. You are the official winner of Big Brother 5, Drew.
And there we go, numbers 15 to 11 of my ranking of every Big Brother winner's winning game. A lot to be said about this batch, and there's still a lot more to be said as the final parts of the ranking take shape. Let me know what you think about my picks, and now that we know who the top 10 are, The only question is, who's gonna be in the top 5? Either way, thank you to my patrons for all your support, and thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to stay sober before the final HOH comp and not tell your showmance you think you can beat them on your way out. And I will see you in the next one, once I grab a bag of my favorite Lay's and eat some Fruit Loops.
I say this because I love you. You're screwed. You're screwed. You have the whole house down there talking about you.
I mean, this is crazy news to me. Dude, I've been begging everybody to keep you in this house. But don't f with me right now, brother.
Well, I'm just trying to have a real talk with you, man. There's no need to raise your voice.
Listen. I've been doing everything for you.
Day number 2, you said, I promise you will not go on the block. And I'm on the block. That's all I got to say.
This is getting bull right here.
But
I hope you go home this week.
Okay.
I hope everybody changes their votes and you go home because you're a shady. I'm not gonna be awkward. I'm a grown-ass man.
I'm not gonna be awkward either.
When I come in and get something to eat, I'm gonna sit down there and eat some food, Fruit Loops or whatever.
Eat your Fruit Loops. I ain't worried about it.